Final Fantasy XVI, my favorite game of all time. Oh my goodness, I love this game, is what I would like to say. It's no secret if you've been around the channel for any amount of time that I am a big, I guess you could say, hater of Final Fantasy XVI. I don't call myself a hater. I say I am Final Fantasy XVI's #1 op because I have so much criticism about this game that is often misconstrued as just hating. It's not hating. I wanted to love this game. So, I made a video 6 months ago when this game came out called Final Fantasy XVI Should Have Been Better. And I liked the game a lot less than I did when I made that video because I was sugarcoating it. I was still in some form of denial, and that I hoped that somehow I missed something with this game, and that something just didn't click with me, and I did something wrong. I have played this game 2.5 times at this point, and I played the DLC 3 times. And I'm here to just talk about this game 6 months later. This isn't going to be some crazy organized video like some other people do, where they have this long video essay. That's not me. This is my raw, unfiltered thoughts with just notes on the side. That's all I got. So, first of all, the reason I'm making this video is because I saw a pretty good video, in fact, a great video, editing was very solid, from a small channel named, let me go ahead and pull him up here so I can shout him out properly here. His name is Nerd Nation on YouTube. Very good small channel. I saw his video called Final Fantasy XVI is a flawed masterpiece, and he ignited something in me, and I had to make another video on this. So we're just going to talk about this game 6 months later. What has changed? This is just going to be an updated review from me. So let's start with what do I think on the story. The first part of this story is amazing. This is one of the best Final Fantasy stories we've ever seen, ever, at the start of the game. Up until Oriflamme, I think this is one of the tightest narratives in a Final Fantasy. It is so solid. The world building is so good. Everything just, it works so well in the start of this game. I think that the characters are done very well. The writing, everything is introduced very well. I say very well a lot. The pacing was extremely good. I didn't really feel like I was missing anything. Everything progressed at a very logical and digestible pace. And I liked that a lot about the first part of this game. This is going to be spoilers, by the way. Cid dies in Oriflamme. You go into the second time skip. The game gets noticeably worse. The story does get a bit worse, but it doesn't get abhorrent. Like, it was still fine. I was more or less like, okay, if it just stays like this, I think I'll be fine. I can live with it. You know, the best part of the game is already over, but it is what it is. And then the story stays about that way through the whole Hugo Nemesis arc. And I would say it nosedives again after you beat Bahamut. After you beat Bahamut and Ultima and Barney and Sleipnir really reveal themselves, this story becomes abhorrent. It gets so bad so fast, and it doesn't get better. And a lot of this is because of the characters, and we're going to get to that very, very soon. But the story, everything just stops making sense. Stuff is mentioned constantly. Nothing, new stuff is mentioned constantly. No real explanation for it, unless the exposition bot that follows you around and does nothing but spews exposition comes and tells you. They do expect you to read the lore, and I like that a game expects people to read the lore. It's what I like so much about the Souls games. The thing is, though, the Souls games, you'll see like an interesting item and say, "Ooh, what's that? What's that about?" Like in this, it's more like, okay, here is a picture of an NPC. All right, there you go. There you go. If you're prompted to read it, good. If not, then don't. And even then, there's not a ton of lore in that. Like most of the time, you're not getting a ton of new information in the lore, but the lore is solid. I'm not going to knock that. It's a great feature. I'm not going to knock that at all. I do think that some of it was a bit weird. I don't think you need that much lore to just restate the same things over and over and over again. But for the most part, I think it's good. Like the lay of the land lore was good, and some of the character dossiers were very good. But for the most part, the back part of this story suffers from things moving too quickly, nothing making sense, and just the overall tone shift from it being a story about the warring lands and how they use these icons as nuclear weapons, basically. Weapons of mass destruction. And it goes from that to, dude, the aliens are here. Ain't you seen the aliens? What do you think about the aliens, man? Isn't it crazy? I don't care about that. I was enjoying my story about the icons and how they deal with the world. Thank you very much. Anyways, that's pretty much all I've got to say about the story. The characters. Cid and Gav were great. These are some of the best characters we've ever seen in Final Fantasy history. Cid is definitely one of the best ever. Period, point blank. No questions asked. Sid was amazing. Gav was very good. We talk about characters that were just, pretty good. Clive was good. I don't think he was great. Clive, I think at the start of the game, Clive was very good. The thing is, when Clive became Sid, when he became Sid the Outlaw, I wanted him to be challenged more on anything he did. But instead, Clive proposes something and everyone's like, word, and then they go with what he said. Challenge the man. Like, give me some conflict. And we got that for like a split second when he took Jill's icon and Joshua just socks him in the face. I was like, oh, that was weird. No one's done that so far. And even then, when he took Jill's icon, I was like, it's a weird moment to suddenly have conflict because obviously he needs Jill's icon. Listen, I'm not saying Jill is useless in a fight, but there is a reason she didn't come with us to Origin. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, it was such a weird thing to introduce conflict over, but I'm glad that it happened for a fleeting moment, and it was the one thing that made Joshua tolerable in that back part of the game. Dion was very good. I'm not gonna be like Synthetic Man and just scream, oh my god, the gays are in the game, oh geez. No. Dion was very, very good, and this is one of the most tasteful versions of a gay romance or just LGBTQ representation in general. This is one of the most tasteful forms of that we've ever had in anything ever. Compare this to Spider-Man 2, right? Compare that, okay? Sleipnir, one of the only good villains in the game, one of the only good main villains in the game. Sleipnir was very, very good. Leagues above the people who boss him around. Benedicta, solid. Not really anything to say, just eh. Hugo, I like Kupka a lot. I think he was probably the best villain we had in the game. Yeah, I would say so. He was menacing. He had his motives, and I very much understood why he was doing what he was. I liked Hugo a lot, and Jill was good, not great, but good. I liked Jill mostly up until you go to Drake's Breath, and then from there, I think it was a bit overdramatic. He was killing the children and all that stuff. It was just a bit overdramatic for me, but even still, I get it. I understand expressing the emphasis of what was happening, but I did not really care for Jill, and after that, she's got nothing to do. worthless character after that. And that's kind of a problem that extends to every single character in this game, and that when their arcs are finished, when they finish their one or two levels, they don't get anything else. They're done. Cut it there, done. No more character growth for them after that, except for Jill. She gets something like right towards the end of the game, but you've got about 20 hours where Jill doesn't do anything, and it's really, really bad. So, Barney and Ultima. Barnabas, I thought, was going to be really sick. I loved his design. I loved the way he fought. Him being the Odin dominant was perfect until he starts talking. And Barnabas has nothing to his own. He parrots back whatever Ultima says, and his entire character is that at all times, at any given moment, he is down on two knees, two-handed slurping Ultima. That's his entire character. He's got nothing else going for him. He's boring. He sucks. And I know the lore about how, he's from the people who worshipped the, what was it called? Zemeckis, I believe it was called. The Dark Mother Crystal that existed where the big crater is. They moved to the outer continent before being driven out by another religious tribe. I've read the lore. I know this stuff because the world building of this game is good. We'll get to that in a minute. I know this stuff. What I'm saying is that outside of stuff that happened 50 years ago that ain't got nothing to do with what he's doing in the game, Barnabas doesn't have anything going for him. He has nothing. He's boring. He's bland. He's cool, but he doesn't have anything going for him character-wise. And Ultima, we're not even going to go there for too long. He's boring. He's bland. He's got nothing to do with the overall structure of the game except for just showing up every now and then, saying something weird and going, Muthos. That's Barnabas. Barnabas says Muthos. But just showing up, saying something random, peacing out. I don't like Ultima. I think he was stupid. He feels like he'd be much better suited to something like Final Fantasy 13 with all the Foul C, with Bartandalus and stuff like that. Ultima definitely strikes me as more of an FF13 villain. And Counterpoint, Counterpoint, Bartandalus might have been better in this game. The evil government official, that'd be a bit better than what we got with Ultima. But Ultima is the least of this game's issues, but I didn't like him. He wasn't a good villain. He was a fun final boss for what it was worth, but didn't care for him. And the worst character in this game is this guy right here on screen. Yes, this man. Hate this guy. Hate everything about this guy. He is useless. He is worthless. His life means nothing. He serves zero purpose. Hated him. You know what he does when he comes back? When he finally shows Clive that he's alive in the second part of the game, the back half of the game. He follows you around and just gives exposition. Nothing else. Nothing. Joshua has nothing to do at all. People who love this character, I think they love him just because he's the twink, but people who love this character, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll ask you. What does Joshua provide to this game other than just following you around and giving exposition? Nothing. He doesn't do anything. He is one of the pirates who don't do anything. He's got nothing going for him. Joshua is a completely worthless throwaway character. Should have stayed dead. You could have literally anybody take his role. Clive could go unearth Grimoire Weiss somewhere and have him follow him around and do the exact same thing Joshua does. You could swap Joshua out with a cardboard cutout with text written on him and get literally the exact same result. Joshua is useless. He doesn't do anything in this game. So, on to the world. Final Fantasy XVI took an approach that I liked when I heard about it. In practice, it's a very different story. Final Fantasy XVI ditched the open world of Final Fantasy XV for something that's a bit more focused, a bit more controlled, that you could definitely fill out a bit easier than 15 did. Final Fantasy XV is a game I love a lot. It's probably my favorite game of all time just because of what it means to me. I'm not under any delusion that it's a great game, but I like it a lot. It means a lot to me. And I'm here to say that 15's open world was still better than this. It's still better. What are you talking about? My voice cracked. That you ditched the open world for this? Like, I don't understand that. You made this linear to sidestep the issues that come with making an open world game, and then you still fell into every single pitfall that comes with making an open world video game. You have got 4 pretty big areas. Sorry, 3 of which are gorgeous areas. And you got nothing to do with them. You know the most content you get outside of those stupid, those trials that you do with each of the icons, which they're fun the first time you do them. You'll never want to do them again, though. You know what you've got besides that? The first time you're free to run around all of Sanbreque, right before you go to Oriflamme, there are these towers that exist around Sanbreque. You go to them, you see them, you're like, oh, what's that over there? You run to it. And what happens when you go to it? Enemies come flooding out of that tower, and you can fight a battle and get an item at the end of it. Wow, content. It's crazy. It's amazing. Don't get used to it. That's all you get. In Dhalmekia, nothing besides Chronolith trials. Nothing at all. No, you don't have any chocobo races. I'm not saying like, oh, this should have been FF7 or FF15. I'm saying if you're not gonna have your game be completely linear, then put content in it, is what I'm saying. Thank you, Axel. In Rosaria, there's nothing. Nothing at all. Sanbreque, besides the towers, nothing. Dhalmekia, nothing. Waloed, nothing. There is nothing going on outside of fetch quests and hunts. The hunt system I like, and I'm glad that they have kept this. 15 introduced this, and they've kept it ever since, and I'm very glad. 15 did it, 7 Rebirth is doing it, and 16 did it, and I like it a lot. Keep doing it. Side quests suck. Trash. Worthless. Don't do anything. Don't touch a side quest. They're garbage. They're useless. They all suck. Sometimes they have pretty good lore in them and pretty good details about the characters. But here's the problem. The overall quest itself still sucks. Yeah, sure, you're getting some good details out of it. But my God, it sucks. It sucks so bad. And, thank you, Axel. And was it Nerd Nation? Sorry if I'm forgetting your name, bro. Put this very well in that. The quests are a triangle. That's what they are. They're a triangle. It's talk to this person, go talk to this person. Go fight this enemy, quest ends. Every single time. Sometimes there's a bit more running back and forth, but it never moves beyond fetch questing is the problem. It never goes beyond it. Never once. And that is what I hate so much about the questing in this game. It's boring. It's dry. There's nothing to do. It got to where I was skipping them. Like, not the quests themselves, I still did them, but I skipped the dialogue for it because I can't be bothered. I really just can't. And the ones that have something good are so few and far between. They're all right there at the end of the game. But right there towards the end of the game, they are dumping side quests on you like they're the greatest things known to mankind when they suck. They'll just end a cutscene, open your map, there's 12 side quests looking at you saying, yeah, it's time again, buddy. And it sucks. It's miserable. I hated it. We're just ranting a lot. in this. Okay, music. The music is almost entirely great. There's some clunkers in there. I think the first part of Titan Lost sucks. Not the actual like Heart of Stone part, but the part that comes before that. The weird J-rock, that stuff. I think that sucked. That was trash. But Heart of Stone I felt was a really solid track. You know, Ascension was good. Barnabas's fight theme was good. Ultima, Find the Flame that plays in Ultima's fight, Find the Flame in general. There's a lot of really good things that work really well with this. There's a lot of music that works really well with the fights. There were some strange ones. I really didn't like the music that played when Sid died. Like, you know, I kind of get what they're going for. Oh, it's the Hideaway. It makes you think of that because it's the last time you're seeing Sid and the last time you've seen the Hideaway at once. They both go away at once, and it plays the Hideaway theme. Very good. The problem is, when I heard this music when Sid was dying, I didn't think about my happy memories with Sid in the Hideaway. I thought about delivering bowls of stew to people. And I don't think that's quite the vibe they were going for. Besides that, it was mostly very good. I felt like the dubstep in the Typhon fight was a little weird, but it was solid, I guess. So, oh, here we go. This is the moment I've been waiting for. 16 minutes in, and we ain't even started yet. The gameplay. Oh, where to begin? So let me start by saying that I am not someone who went into this game saying it needs to be turn-based. Final Fantasy needs to be a certain way. I'm not that type of guy. Final Fantasy has evolved and changed since its inception, and I want it to keep doing so. Problem is, either make a decision that you're a DMC clone, or be an action RPG. Or be a good combination of the two. But don't give up halfway through deciding and then come out with the most unsatisfying version of both. You know, you want to be a DMC clone with so many combos and abilities that it's mind-boggling how Clive can do all this stuff and how people can learn that he does all of this stuff. You know, it would be incredible. Or you're an action RPG in which you juggle a lot of different elements and different methods of combat are effective against different enemies, with a lot of things on cooldown or just having to multitask a lot of stuff. This game is the most unsatisfying version of both. It's a DMC clone where you only have one combo, no inherent air launcher, and the stuff you're juggling in the combat system. First of all, there is no version of combat that's more effective on anything. Everything is, I mean, obviously you can't hit a flying enemy on the ground before people say that, but like, with the exception of just enemies that fly, everything is effective against every enemy. There are no different damage types in this game. There's one damage type, damage. Magic and strength, I believe, is even the same exact stat. It's unbelievable how it can call itself an action RPG and then be this shallow, but then also say it's like Devil May Cry and then be this shallow. It is the most unsatisfying version of both. The most you're juggling is just your cooldown meters, and even then, there ain't but so much cool stuff you can do. Yes, I know you can equip some abilities and look really, really cool, almost like a Devil May Cry. The problem is you can only have like 10 of these abilities on at once, and they gotta be off cooldown, or else you don't look cool. It's really sad that you can only look cool in FF16's combat about 40% of the time. That's really, really tragic. Compare this to when I replayed Devil May Cry 5 and DMC Devil May Cry a month ago. I replayed both of these games. Every 2 minutes I was saving combat clips. That game felt so good. Both of them did. Both of them felt better than 16. These games feel so satisfying. Virgil, Dante, and Nero. Nero is the one Clive takes the most inspiration from, and Nero is leaps and bounds above Clive. Not even close. He's got so much more, and the big issue comes right down to Clive's basic moveset. You got a 4-hit combo with Magic Burst, Burning Blade, a lunge, and a jump combo. That's all you got. You ain't got nothing else. Oh, and you got Helm Splitter, I guess. There's nothing else besides that. No pause combos, no direction-based combos, nothing. Oh, you got enemy step, but you see what I'm getting at here. There's nothing here. There's nothing. And I have a solution to this. I'm going to bring up a few things that I think could fix this combat system, but that implies that we're going very hard into either direction. But let me ask you let me propose to you this idea, which would be a good mix of both. First of all, let's finish my rant. Party members, they do nothing. They are robots. They follow you around. They do, and in fact, against normal enemies, they do percent-based damage. They're coded very lazily. They just walk around. A lot of them, except for Joshua, use the same animations. They do percent-based damage. That's really about it. Against bosses, they're fodder. They're worthless. They're only good to draw aggro every now and then, but even then, that doesn't happen too often. And they just you need more control of them. You know, a big thing FF15 did have going for it was just the fact that you could, like, your party members always felt like they were with you, and when one of them was gone, you felt their absence. In 16, I have to literally pull up the menu to see who was with me and who was not, because I can't tell in gameplay. Like, you know, and it's always, you know, the characters run behind you, and it was that way in 15 as well. But what I'm saying is that you could always tell which party members were with you in 15, whereas in 16, you got to pull up the menu or turn the camera around and see, because there's no clue that they're there. They never say anything. Nobody has anything to say more than, or let's go. That's it. Compare that to Final Fantasy 15, where there's so much dialogue everywhere. And even for what we've seen of 7 Rebirth, there's still so much dialogue between the characters, just when you're running around the world. There's none of that in 16. You have no sense of camaraderie with your party members. Everybody's there because it feels like it's their job to be there. No one's happy and no one's talking to each other. I hate that a lot. I really do. Final Fantasy 16's party system was horrible. Now let's talk about how to fix this. So, you want to be a Devil May Cry clone. Great idea. I love this a lot. Here's your very simple solution. Make each icon a different job class. You know, Ifrit, your base, is the warrior. Phoenix, dunno. Maybe you could use him to fly with his wings. Or maybe Garuda could like focus on air combat. Rama could be a mage. Bahamut could be a dragoon. Titan could be a monk. And what's her name? Shiva could be a thief. Maybe Odin could be a Dark Knight, you know, all these different job classes. And they did get some of this right, because with Odin, you can use the Arm of Darkness and get a new moveset. It just doesn't do any damage. But here is what I propose, that each of these were a different job class. In that, this retains the Final Fantasy feel and allows you to have some crazy Devil May Cry-like combos. If you can switch between 3 weapons with the jobs all the time, each with different combos and different ways to actually play the game other than spamming moves the second they come off cooldown, that'd be huge. I would love that. I would adore if they did that. They didn't do it though. Anyway, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got more to get to here. This is one way you can take the game. Every single icon has a different job and a different weapon. I like this idea. I think it's a tad unrealistic for Final Fantasy. I much prefer the middle ground route. We'll get to that in a second. Let's say you want to lean very heavily onto the RPG elements. You keep most of what you got, except you just add different damage types, you know, different abilities do, like I said, different damage types. Make it where, I guess you should keep the mastery system where you can put it on any of the icons, but make it where you can control the party a bit more, make each character do certain actions to more heavily influence combat. You know, this leans very heavy on the RPG elements of the game, and I'd like this a lot. I would prefer that over the more DMC heavy route, even though I love DMC. But I propose a middle ground between these two things. So, I think you should add everything I just said about the RPG side, the different damage types, and the party members. Listen, I know we all love to take the easy way out. I know rigging sucks for these characters. I know it's a pain in these action games. But this is 2 Final Fantasies in a row where we have had to talk about adding party members post-launch and how, well, we might not have the budget for it. Suck it up in 17 and just add them all at launch. This is twice in a row it's happened. I know it sucks. I know the rigging's a pain. You will save yourself a lot of trouble if you just do it in development. Because then you got to worry about, oh, did the game make this much money? Is the DLC going to make this much money? You know, we need to reinvest this. You know, Yoshi P has talked about doing this, has talked about making these characters playable, but he's also said, oh, the PC release needs to do well. This DLC needs to do well. 17 just has to be made with many characters in mind. It's just got to at this point. 15 came out. We said this is not just a story, but you can control the allies through commands. You can control some of what they do. And then later, what happened a year and a half later? They were added as playable. This game comes out. This is Clive's story. All you really need to do is worry about Clive. It's very action heavy. What's Yoshi P talking about now? Adding in the other party members as playable. Suck it up and do it next time. I know it sucks. I know it's hard, but I know it'll make your life a lot easier. And, you know, even I can tell they didn't want to do it, because when they asked the director of 16 about what they should do for the DLC, he said, well, we saw many people say that these DLCs should focus on other characters such as Sid or Barnabas. And he said, but the problem with that is it would involve creating an entirely different combat system. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize making a quality DLC would take hard work. Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry for insinuating such a thing. Anyways, back on topic, the mix of the two. So, I mentioned having the different damage types and the party members. What I say now is that don't have every single thing be a different job class, but you do need more weapons. Here is my proposal. In total, you have 3 different movesets, not counting Clive's normal moveset. You have the Arm of Darkness when you get Odin. Have it work the same, except put Rift Slip on it. Why is that an ability? Put it on Arm of Darkness. It takes up an entire ability spot. Don't care. Put it on Arm of Darkness, give him another ability, and just straight up make it play like Virgil. You know, you get to see Barnabas doing judgment cuts. Let me judgment cut fools in this game, please. And then that can be used on ground or air, I think. That should be like a universal new weapon. Now, for your other 2 weapons I propose is an air-based weapon and a ground-based weapon. When you're in the air, you can use Garuda's Claws. This is only air attacks. These can't be used on the ground. Or if they can, it's only used to get you from the air to the ground. Like, you cannot combo. I mean, it's only used to get yourself from the ground to the air, or vice versa. And then, like, you know, you knock an enemy up with an inherent air launcher. Add it to Clive, please. And then you can combo them with Garuda in the air. And for the other weapon, I say it should be Titan's Fists on the ground. And his fist cannot be used in the air because it's a heavy type weapon. So you just pummel with your fists and I guess your feet on the ground. And in the air, you use Garuda's Claws. And then on top of this, give Clive Ifrit's backdraft mechanic. Ifrit has in the fights. It makes the fights look so much cooler. It gives him so many more unique actions. Give it to Clive. Also, Clive, I think, just needs Ifrit moves in general. You know, all we have is the Bull Rush and the Will of the Wikes. Give Clive Ifrit moves. Like, you know those really cool moves you see Crimson Shadow, what's his name? Infernal Shadow, that's his name. You see him doing, like, he does Hellfire and Molten Thrust and all this stuff. Let us use Clive's entire limit break gauge on that and just do a big super move. Can we just do that? That'd be so cool. Anyways, that's my proposal to fix the combat for the most part. Give us some control over the party members. I'm not saying they need to be fully playable, and I'm not saying they need to be as detailed as Clive, but I mean, at least like let me give them commands. Let me feel like they're there. Add the different damage types, and then add the different weapons. Let me feel like I can combo fools for more than 4 hits before having to knock away and then Phoenix Shift just for a takedown animation I've seen 100 times. Okay, that was a big rant on that. Next up is enemy variety. Shameful. Absolutely shameful. You have like maybe 15 enemies in a 70-hour RPG. There's nothing here. And even half of these enemies reuse moves from each other. They do. You know, like the big Gigas Hobgoblin things. Them and the Minotaurs use the exact same animations for 70% of the moveset. And this just goes on and on and on. There are really maybe 10 unique enemy types in the game. And anything that doesn't have a stagger bar is complete fodder. Just worthless. I absolutely hate this. Just give me more enemy types, for God's sake. Like, I'm so sick of fighting the same flowers over and over and over again. It's flowers and dogs, flowers and dogs. That's all you fight in this entire game, flowers and dogs. As for the bosses, amazing. Do I need to say anything here? Best boss fights we've ever seen in the industry. I do think that some of them are a bit overrated. Like, I know I've seen people say, oh, the Ultima fight and the Bahamut fight were the best ever. Nah, it's clearly the Titan fight's the best. The Ultima and Bahamut fights were cool spectacles, but you're just doing cartwheels in space. There's not really any interesting mechanics that go with it. Titan is clearly the peak of the game set pieces, 100%. Lore and world building, some of the best I've ever seen in anything ever. It's not perfect, but it's really, really good. I really like the lore we saw in this game, and I wish that they expanded on that more in the DLC, which they have done with the Fallen. But now they're adding a new area in the Rising Tide, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know for sure if I trust how this is going to go, but I'm interested in which direction they take the lore for this game. I would like a 16-2. I think a 16-2 has a lot of potential, but they show no interest in doing that. They said they're just going to take the experience they got from making this game and make a new title, which is scary because everyone told them what they did with this game was great anyway. So expect mediocrity, boys. Let's see. Level design is nothing. It's structured like a Lego game. In fact, no. Lego games had level design. My bad. I apologize for that. You just hold forward on the stick and fight groups of enemies. Hold forward on the stick, watch a cutscene. Hold forward on the stick, fight enemies. Hold forward on the stick, watch a cutscene. Hold forward on the stick, fight enemies. That's all you do. There's no level design to anything in this game. How to fix it. So, that's just the next section I have, because this is 6 months later and how to fix it. I mentioned how to fix the gameplay system. How to fix this world. The simple answer is that you don't really have a way to do that at this point unless you blow it up and start all over, and you just can't do that. There's not really a way to fix the world, sadly. I wish there was. I mean, I'd say add all this content and all this sort of cool stuff, but there's not really a way to do it. So instead, I have another alternative for you. I wish we could just, first of all, I wish we could just blow up the Ash continent. It's worthless. Everything that happens there, move it to the other continent. It's not worth the headache. Anyways, you can't fix the world. You cannot fix the open world side of things. It's done for. Too late. Ship has sailed. However, what you can do is make the post game more enjoyable other than Final Fantasy mode. Here's my proposition. If you add the mechanics I mentioned in the perfect combat system, the mix of the two that I brought up, and then add like a new difficulty, a Clive must die difficulty, and then first of all, you add more enemy types, and then you add in that new difficulty mode, you put those new enemy types all throughout the game. Let us skip the side quests. Do this. If you did the side quests in your previous playthrough that you're loading from in New Game Plus, you don't have to do them again. Take the Nier Automata route. If you already did them, you ain't got to do them again. I wish they would do that for it. And then the last option I present to you is add the Bloody Palace. Just add the Bloody Palace for me. Wouldn't that be nice? Add these new combat mechanics, add these new enemy types, and then give me the Bloody Palace. Give me some crazy reward at the end of it too. Make it where like I beat the Bloody Palace and I can like send Devil Trigger into Ifrit or something crazy like that. That'd be so sick. One last farewell to the game. I know they won't do any of this stuff, and that's what hurts me. They seem completely content to let their game, their vision, die in mediocrity. And I hate that because I love Final Fantasy and I wanted to love this game. And I was so hyped for this game. This was one of the only games I ever saw that made me think if it delivers on everything it has shown me, it could be one of the greatest games ever made. And it came out and it is my least favorite game of all time. The game is not terrible. I know I spent a lot of this video ragging on this game, and I'm here to tell you it's not a horrible video game. The problem is that it should have been better and that it promised to be better. There's a difference between the way this played out and other Final Fantasies. Other Final Fantasies have not two-handed slurped themselves the way this game did. This game promised quality. This game, and it does have production value, I'll agree with that, but this game promised quality, and it promised to be great, and it promised to be one of the best things the series has ever had. Out of all the Final Fantasies I have played, 6, 7, 8, 9, parts of 10, couldn't play 12, 13, couldn't play 13-2, I hated it, 13-3, 15, parts of Type 0, 7 Remake, Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus. All these games, first of all, Crisis Core sucks, Dirge of Cerberus sucks, Type 0 sucks, 13-2 sucks, but I'm here to tell you that this game is my least favorite, and this is my pick for the, maybe not the worst one, this is my pick for my least favorite, though. 13-2 is a horrible game. Absolute travesty. Type 0 was a horrible game. Absolute travesty. Stranger of Paradise was better than this game. I like that game considerably more than I like this. This is my pick for my least favorite. It fumbled on so much stuff. It promised so much and delivered on almost none of it. And that's why I'm so mad at this game, because I wanted it to be so great and it just couldn't hit those highs. And I'm going to go to my other notes. I had a second draft of the video from a few weeks ago, and I just want to look back at it and see if I missed anything. Bloody Palace, Clive must die. I mentioned the towers. Oh yeah, this is another thing. Make it where we can just go to cool stuff that's in the world. You know, for all the issues FF15's open world had, one thing that wasn't a problem was if you saw something cool, you could walk to it. I saw the Rock of Ravito and I walked to it. I saw Astalum and I walked to it. You know, I see these stone arches in Duskgate, I can climb them. You know, like I see something cool in the world and I walk to it. In this, I walk to it and then I get hit with an invisible wall and a fast travel screen. Terrible. I'm just sorry. Very official, I know. Very, very good. I'm gonna mention Leviathan's iconic feat. No point in it. I would love for like her iconic feat to be something like, I refer to Leviathan as a she. Don't question me. Like the Buster grab from Devil May Cry 5. I'd love it if it was Buster, but I doubt it. Armor of Darkness should have been Yamato. Fish should have been Beowulf. Okay, that's pretty much everything. I hit pretty much everything I wanted to say, but I'm here to tell you again that this game isn't bad. If you love basic action games, if you're like, I don't want to say the filthy casuals, but if you're the filthy casual, you'll enjoy this game enough. It's just not meant for someone like me who loves the series. That's the thing. This is a Final Fantasy game that's not meant for Final Fantasy fans, and that's my problem. You know, we can cry all the live long day about how 15 and 13 don't feel like Final Fantasy. Yes, they do. They feel like Final Fantasy. You know, 15 at launch? Absolutely not. It's an atrocious game. 15 after all of its DLC? A-okay. But this game, it doesn't even feel like Final Fantasy. It doesn't. And I was never on board with people before the game came out who were like, oh, I don't want Devil May Cry. I want Final Fantasy. This is just Lost Soul Aside. I wish this game had as much variety as Lost Soul Aside looks like it has, but nah. I was very much on board with this new direction for Final Fantasy, and it let me down. It really did. It really did just let me down. I'm saddened. I really am to say this, but 6 months later, in my opinion, Final Fantasy 16 has done nothing but get worse. I hoped that I would grow to love this game and that I had missed something on it, but I just didn't. It just didn't hit for me. And I know a lot of people love this game, and a lot of the filthy normies, a lot of the filthy casuals love this game on Twitter. You know, every day I open up Twitter and see, oh, I finished this masterpiece of a game. Oh, we're so blessed to have this in our repertoire of games. Like, I see that all the time, and I'm disgusted by it, because this game is so mediocre, man. You must not play anything besides Naughty Dog games. Sorry, we're getting off topic here. Anyways, that's going to be the end of the FF16 rant. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe we'll come back after the Rising Tide and I'll flame grill this thing a bit more. And I'll drag the dead horse out and beat it for a few more hours. But for right now, we'll call it right here. That's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you let me know if you love this game so I can block you. Nah. You love the game, that's good. Just don't try to convince me it's good, because you're not going to. You know, everyone always said, and we're getting off topic again. I chased too many rabbits in this, but everybody always said, oh, Sakaguchi, the man who created Final Fantasy, he loved this game. How can you say it's bad? I don't care what Sakaguchi has to say. I played it. I know what I don't like about it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna get out of here. Nerd Nation, again, I believe that was his name. He'll be linked in the comments because he did inspire this video. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Y'all take it easy.